Hi, and welcome to Armchair Pundits. I'm your host, James. Today we have Yao,
What's up?
Cyril,
What's going on?
and Leon.
Hello.
So we have a full house for our first episode of the season, and we have a lot to get through. There have been some upsets with Man United going out of the Capital One Cup to MK Dons, but as flip side, they bought Di Maria for a Premier League record price. Spurs have done well. Good start season, sitting top. Big game against Liverpool this weekend. Liverpool getting outplayed completely in the second half to Man City. So we'll talk about that as we go along through the rest of the episode. But how have you guys been? We'll go to Cyril first before we get to Man United. Generally,
I've had the worst start.
How have you been? How's your pre-season been?
Pre-season was actually amazing. You know, it looked like all the players were adapting to the new style of play. The philosophy looked good. There was a lot of confidence in the team, and even Ashley Young actually started looking a bit like a player. I was very, very impressed pre-season. We beat Real Madrid. You know, we beat Roma. We beat Liverpool.
Yep.
And we won a trophy. It's a Mickey Mouse trophy. It's not a real trophy, but Arsenal won the Emirates Cup and claimed that, so I'm going to claim that. And so coming into the new season, we got rid of the stink of Moyes. A lot of positivity, and now it's kind of out the window a little bit.
Yeah, how did your pre-season go? As a Tottenham fan, were you encouraged? Were you a bit, I need to wait and see? How did you view your pre-season?
I spent most of the pre-season watching the players that were currently on our list and watching a few players that were potentially coming over to Spurs. I didn't really care for the results, to be honest with you. I don't even care for pre-season results whatsoever. But my main concern was seeing player movement, seeing how they adapt into whoever's style is. As it is well known to a lot of people, we had a new manager over the summer. So it was good to see that players like Lamela, Eriksson, Soldado at one point, looked like he was starting to pick up and chip in with a few goals, especially on pre-season. But I think what we have is an actual team, that's willing to work as a team and not necessarily attack and defence. And I don't think Spurs have had that. Well, they didn't have that at all last season. They just had 11 players that wanted to cross the line and get their paychecks. So pre-season was good. I felt like a few players were fit, and it's good to see a few players now starting to show what they're worth.
Leon? Same team? Was anything different to you?
Pre-season isn't really a very good way of telling how good your team is going.
Or were you encouraged?
I was encouraged, but as I said, we've seen it before. There's a pre-season we had where I think Darren Bent scored about 16 goals. We then went into the Premier League season and we lost 5 on the bounce. So Cyril's pre-season with Man United to how their league form is now, there's obviously the pre-season is not really a good way of knowing how good your team are going into the season.
I'll agree with that, because historically, I'll be honest, I don't pay attention to pre-season because that was my excuse last season when Moyes started off so badly in pre-season. I had to basically say pre-season doesn't count in order to go into the season with more confidence. And this season, because we had a good pre-season, I kind of reversed on that. I said, pre-season, and it's not really gone the way we wanted to. We got in a few new players. We got Luke Shaw in, Herrera. But those players, I'm assuming, they were set up before Moyes left, and now they've both been injured as well. So it's not really been the start we wanted. But we'll get into that.
Well, me personally, being a Liverpool fan, encouraging pre-season. In all honesty, we lose Suarez, and it's doom and gloom for a while because we're thinking, who on earth are we going to buy to replace him? You can't replace Suarez. So it's a case of how you're going to replace the goals, and the ingenuity has. We bought a lot of young players that still have a lot to prove. We bought Lambert, who I think can get goals. Is he going to be an overwhelming signing? No, he's not. But he's someone who knows the Premier League, who knows English football, and then when we've got a Champions League game midweek, he's someone where I have no problem putting Lambert in to play on a Saturday or Sunday. In terms of Balotelli, I won't front. I was not enamoured when we were looking to get him. The way I looked at it, I thought, do we really need the headache? Is he going to work in the system we play? We play a high pressing game. Is he going to put in the work rate? And then I was like, do I really want him? Then I thought 16 million. Can't really go wrong. And then I sat there, watched us play against Man City, and I thought to myself, what are we lacking? We're lacking someone that can do something out of the ordinary. And Balotelli can pick up the ball and say, you know what, I've had enough. Bang it from 30 yards back in the net. We had that with Suarez. Suarez can say, you know what, I'm taking this game by off my neck, nutmeg 2 people and score. Then you've got the fact that Sturridge loves to drift left and right. At first I was like, are they going to work together properly? But then you look at Balotelli can drift left and right, but he's going to want to stay central, which means he can be the perfect foil for Sturridge. So, the loss aside, I'm happy for our pre-season. I'm happy with how the season started. I did not think we were going to beat Man City. It may sound bad coming from a Liverpool fan, it may sound like I'm not supporting my team, but Man City have lost 3 games in 3 seasons at home. So did I really think our team, with a defence that is shaky still, we're going to go there and win? Not really. So still a lot to prove, but the main thing of how the season started, and we'll move on to Man United.
Yeah.
How far gone are Man United? Or is it just a mirage?
No, I wouldn't say that. It's not all doom and gloom that the media's starting to say, oh my God, this is the worst Man United team in history. Potentially that could be true.
Statistically, it probably is.
Statistically,
how many records have you broken in the last 12 months?
No, statistically, it is. And but as with all dynasties, dynasties crumble, they rebuild and stuff like that. And we're in a rebuilding phase. We've had 26 years of supreme bliss. As a Man United fan, in my entire lifespan, because I didn't really watch football when I was under 5 years old, I've never known what it means to struggle, because we've never been out of the top 3 in the Premier League. So I'm not really accustomed to this. I'm not really accustomed to the ridicule and to the adjusting my expectations of the season. At this point of the season, I'll be honest, it looks like top 4 is slightly beyond us right now. Based on current form, the way that the players are playing, the way things are lining up with the injuries we have. We brought Luke Shaw in and he's out for a month. Herrera's out for a few weeks. We've had Carrick, who's been a real rock for us in centre midfield. He's been missing. Rooney and Van Persie, for some reason, just can't pass the ball to each other.
Question. So why on earth, the start you've had, a draw and a defeat, start of the season, why would you play the kids in a game where you could get the confidence? The players need to get used to the system. The play against Muteki's Dons, they could have filled their boots. They could have just, I don't know. Even Evans still could have come in and played. You could have had their first choice.
I think it was arrogance from Van Gaal in that he probably cares less about that game than anyone can really imagine. He probably just thought, I don't want to waste my time with these Mickey Mouse Cups. He knows what he's been brought in for. He's brought in basically to get us back into the top 4. And so he might see these cups as a hindrance.
But winning breeds confidence. You win that. You haven't won a game. You win that game. You go into Burnley. Confidence.
I can only guesstimate what he thought, because he played players that, in my opinion, were at the last chance saloon. Players like Anderson, players like Hernandez, who seem to be surplus to requirements right now.
There's been Welbeck
as well.
Apparently.
There's been rumours of him going to Tottenham for 15 mil.
Please do not let that happen. Do not let that happen.
So I think he just basically didn't really care about the tournament. He just wants to get back to focusing on the Premier League, and it was a disgrace anyway.
So Leon, that's the bad side of things. They've gone and bought Di Maria. What's your view on them buying Di Maria?
I think Di Maria is a very good addition to the squad, but for me, and it's going to sound kind of controversial because of how much accolades that Di Maria's had over the last couple of years, but he's effectively a 60 million sideman, because he's never that guy that you go to win a match. He plays under shadows of the limelight. So when other guys are getting the attention, being marked, that's where Maria comes into the game, because other people are getting the attention, and that is when he comes alive. When Di Maria is specifically man-marked or specifically targeted, he shies away from it. He's very easy to keep out of a game. But it's when, like at Real Madrid, he had a great Champions League final. Well, really, Real Madrid struggled for most of that match. And then, yes, he did something to create the goals, with a couple of the winning goals. But before that, he was shut down. So it's when Ronaldo, they've got Ronaldo there, they've got Benzema, and they've got Bale taking the limelight. Then he's got that space to work in. At Man United, you see it with Mata. It's the same thing. At Chelsea, there's so many guys there that he was able to shine. But he's gone to Man U, and now it's like, well, Mata is their go-to guy to create something, and he gets targeted. Now he doesn't seem as great as everyone thought that he would be. It's the same thing with Di Maria. I think they spent a lot of money. I think he's a very, very good player, an outstanding player, but he's not a go-to guy. And I don't think he's the answer. They needed a strong midfielder like Vidal, which I don't think that deal's going to go through now.
It's not happening. They really said
they need Vidal. They should spend the money on him. And yeah, it's a risk because of his injury. He's hardly ever been injured severely in his career. This knee injury, he still played in the World Cup and had a good World Cup for Chile. So how bad is the injury? I don't know. Juventus want to keep him. Defence. Man United are having to play 3 at the back. Van Gaal's never played 3 at the back until he took over Holland, and that's because their defence was... No, but
Ajax, but he played 3-4-3.
That's an attacking formation. That was an attacking formation. And
but maybe that's what he's thinking, because maybe he's going to now revert to a 3-4-3 with Di Maria one side. But the problem he has is the fact that he's got Rooney and Van Persie.
Di Maria doesn't work off the ball that hard. So if he's playing 3-4-3, he has to obviously play Di Maria wide up top with Van Persie and Rooney. But have they got the players to play a 3-4-3 in the middle? No, because who's in the middle? That's the biggest problem they have, is that they don't have a central midfield. So how can you play that formation at Man U at the moment? You can't. He's having to play 3-5-2, and you're seeing how slow the build-up is. We used to Man United counter-attacking, and you couldn't stop them because the pressure was too much. Now, slow build-up. It's the same thing Liverpool had when they had the Spice Boys with that 3-5-2.
So yeah, is his arrogance costing Man United? Or do you think it's just a case of this is what Man United need? Man United need a real shake-up, and this is the shake-up they need.
They've had their shake-up. They had their shake-up last season when they took beatings upon beatings. And I'm sorry that I'm laughing because, like, I'm 27 years of age and it's...
You've waited 27 years.
I've waited a long time to see Man United. And don't get twisted, I could have been a Man United supporter. It was very close, you know, when I was making my decision as a youngster. But, you know, that could have been years of glory, yeah, which turned out to be years of hurt. But hurt that I've lived with. I don't think his arrogance is going to really hurt them. I think what it's going to do is shake up a few players. Because, in all honesty, a few players for the last few years have been living off Ferguson's word that, you know, you're a good player, you know, you can play for me and we're going to win stuff. But they're not good enough. Danny Welbeck, not good enough, alright? He's beyond shocking. And I don't even understand why people believe he's good enough to go to World Cup or any sort of major tournaments. The kid is crap. Pardon my French. He is not good enough. Darren Fletcher is a player I actually like. I actually like Darren Fletcher. But maybe one or two illnesses or, you know, injuries.
Or does he need time? Like
I don't think he can even have time.
With Fletcher, it's different because he's got a career-ending injury in the colitis in his stomach that it retires so many players when they have that. Like Brock Lesnar had it, and he couldn't. You saw him when he came back to MMA. He just wasn't the same. He got run over. So Fletcher, it's amazing to me that he's even playing.
That's what I'm saying.
It's amazing that he's even playing.
You've even got players like Blackett. Oh Lord, I mean, I've been watching this kid play, and I'm shocked that he's even allowed to put on a shirt. To be honest with you,
I'd have to disagree. I'd have to disagree.
He has shown me nothing so far.
I've seen Blackett play, and he looks assertive. He looks like he knows what he's doing, but he just needs time. He's young.
I'll give him time.
I would say that he's been, if out of this the whole debacle of the first 2 games, he's been a plus point. They know they've got someone that in a couple years' time that can develop and actually be a Man United player.
That I'll give him time for. My main issue, as Lee has probably stated, is they don't have a central midfielder because due to injuries they don't really have a central midfielder, and their defense is totaled.
You know, I think the main problem Man United is suffering from, people saying, "Oh, we need to throw money." But if you actually look in the last 12 to 18 months. We've spent like...
you spent a staggering amount of money.
We spent over 250 million.
Second most in the world.
We spent like 250 million net. Yeah. But then when you look at the players, it's amazing to me how badly we've spent. how much overspending that we've made. When you have players that are worth 10, 15 mil, and you're paying 30, 35 million for them, you know that there's an endemic problem there.
It's mismanagement at all levels.
But we lost our top admin guy. You know, when Gil went, we should have never let Ferguson and Gil go at this. We should have just begged him, please.
But even then, you look at Ferguson's deals over the last 7 or 8 years. The only ones that have been good have been the certified ones. He hasn't managed to buy a player that's come up since been a buyer
Ronaldo.
And come up since Ronaldo. All the other buyers, Bebe, what the hell was that?
Bebe was a joke.
There's something going on with the Bebe deal. I think there was something shady there. I'm sure that he didn't just buy a player that he'd never seen.
Hernandez wasn't so bad, to be honest.
Hernandez for 2 seasons.
Chikorito, I still have a liking towards
The
it.
problem they had with Hernandez, and the problem Hernandez had himself. You look at who he was like. Solskjaer knew what he was good at. He knew, I'm not a starter at club level. If I want to be at the top, I come off the bench, I score goals, we win games, I keep going. I keep my international place, keep it moving. He started to want to start games. If he just kept it simple, listen, I'm coming off the bench, I'm going to score, he'll be fine.
But the thing about Solskjaer was that he had some game. So as much as he knew his
could
place,
actually play, yeah.
he could play football. Whereas Chicharito, he will never get an assist because he's just not that kind of guy.
His touch is so bad.
Solskjaer was completely different.
Yeah,
he had to drop into right midfield and played there
And
well.
could play there.
And when he needed to, he set up goals. He created space for others. Chicharito is, I score goals, but don't ask me to do
He's
this.
just a 6-year apprentice.
And that's not good enough in modern day football. You know, that's why Matt was surplus to requirements at Chelsea, because it's another 10.
If you don't work back,
if you can't work back, if you can't defend a little bit, at least contribute.
My main worry for Man United, and I really don't even want them to be in this position, but my main worry is they lose games, and the fickle fans, the fans that don't really know tactics, don't really pay attention to, you know, the real art of football, their first thought is, go get this player here that's worth 40 million, you know, to show us that you really are competing with the other big spenders. What you need to realise is this: spending 60 million on Di Maria does not mean you're going to win your next 5 games. You could, for all we know, lose all of your next 10 games. Not saying it would happen, but if it was to happen, then what do you go and do?
If we
spend more money?
If we lose the next 5 games, if we lose the next 5 games,
they're quite tough.
They'll be calling for Van Gaal to be out. No, they're the easiest games. We've only got Everton at the next 5 games. We're playing teams in the bottom half.
But you need to realise
in our prediction to the season, we said Man U got a really, really nice start. After
Yeah.
always complained about Man U's tough start.
But the thing
last
is,
season.
we looked at it thinking it was an easy start, but you need to realise we're talking about the Premiership here.
Yeah.
You get caught.
But
What I'm saying
assumed.
is, games that you want to get 3 points. It's Man U. This is
True.
not any team.
But at the same time, we assumed that they would have bought certain players by the time the season started.
That's very true.
No way we thought we'd sit here 2 games in and they've bought 3-4 players, and only 2 of them. Not even 2 of them. Who's played? Out of the new players, Herrera's played 1 game. Out of over £100 million worth of players, only 1 player's played.
Yes, it's scary. Okay, if you look at it this way, I think there's been a bit of bad luck and it's with Man U as well, because I wouldn't call it bad luck, but say Ferguson handled the Pogba situation a little bit differently,
You'd have a great DM.
we wouldn't be in this situation.
But I guess that happens in general. But honestly, Cyril, where are you finishing this season? We had it in the previous one, and you obviously were higher on hopes.
I'm going to say I'm a bit higher on Di Maria than Leon this, so I'm going to say he gives us the potential to finish 4th, but right now...
Who comes out if you finish 4th, realistically?
Liverpool.
Okay, move on. That's just talking from the heart. Let's move on. Leon,
What are you asking me?
Man United, where are they finishing this season?
Wow, I thought you moved off them.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I had them down as 4th in the predictions, and I had Arsenal out. That's reversed. I think Man U finished 5th. I still think they're going to be in amongst it, but they're not going to be challenging for the title.
No.
Yeah?
I think I had them in a top 4 battle. I think I had them battling between 4th and 5th. But I'll be honest with you, it's going to take some time for that system to work. Di Maria being brought in doesn't necessarily mean that wins are going to come off the back of that. So I'm looking at them challenging for Europa.
I think I had them 6th or 7th, and I'll stick to that. I don't think they're going to do as well as they can do, as well as they should do. So, you've heard it here. Man United, apart from the Man United fan, aren't finishing in the top 4. So, I want you guys to put your views over Twitter, over Facebook, on our YouTube channel. Let us know where you think Man United are going to finish and what you think has happened to Man United. What is the real problem? We'll be back with the next episode.